Hold on. Galilean, you got 30
Yeah,
seconds.
okay, let me,
Finish, and
okay.
then, Caleb is gonna.
Okay, thank you. So another also statement, because they're always being racist to Arabs. If we put the Canaanites to the side, we have the Nativians that were there also before the Canaanites and Israelites, who were living there 10,000 years ago, historically, not from the Bible. They were actually Arabs. They were from Yemen and Saudi Arabia, so yeah, Arabs have been there before even Israelites set their foot in that region.
Okay,
So.
two things. Two things.
So you guys are gypsy.
Two things. A single piece of land can have more than one indigenous people. That's number one. Number two, indigeneity is not granted to individuals, but groups. So if you join the group, you take on the indigenous, and that's every kind of group. I don't care, right? Somebody, right, a Palestinian, a person who's third generation expat Palestinian living in America or Canada is also indigenous to the land, just like Jews who have never stepped foot in Israel are indigenous to the land, because indigeneity has to do with groups and it does not have to do with individuals.
How are you showing the group?
Let him land, please. Z, Wednesday, please, let him land. You got 30 seconds.
No, that's it. The whole idea of you don't have the right blood is silly because it's about groups, not individuals.
That's what we've been saying all along.
Okay, Z, it's on you.
No. How you join the group? What is the measurement? What is the rule for you to join the group?
To join being Jewish, there's a whole procedure. I mean, I don't want to bore the room, but there's a whole procedure.
Okay, what is the procedure?
Well, you have to study for a second.
You accepted the Judaism, right? So converting to...
Well, wait a second. You asked, and so I'm going to answer. You don't know what the procedure, that's why I assume you asked.
The Gior process, are you talking about that? Becoming a Jew?
The Gior process, the conversion process is basically like this. You have to study for a certain amount of time. You have to have a rabbi that you learn with.
I fucking rest my case. I cannot. I swear to God. You know, the thing is, as much as you talk to these Jews, Israelis,
Why is it?
It's his turn. Please don't come off the mic.
I don't know why it's so threatening when somebody is changing their tradition. I'm just explaining to you the process. You learn for a certain amount of time, minimum about
the most important thing for anyone to
there's a couple of rituals to go through.
yesterday afternoon.
You have to sit in front of a court of council of 3 rabbis. They'll ask you questions. And what they're asking you about and what the whole process is about is acculturation. It's naturalization. In the same way that if you were not a citizen of the country and you wanted to become a citizen of the country, you just get to show up to the office one day and say, I want to be a citizen. You have to learn the history, you have to learn the culture, you have to learn the laws, and you have to show that you're going to be a functioning, productive member of that culture and of that society.
So
that's what conversion is like.
Okay.
Black man, question, black man or Chinese. One second. A black man or a Chinese person, if they went through this process, Caleb, and they converted to Judaism, does that, in your opinion, make them indigenous to the land?
Yes, because indigenous.
Caleb, if so, does that make Israel a true democracy?
Okay. So that second question is more complicated than the first one. The first one is, yes, they become indigenous because they are part of an indigenous group. It has nothing to do with individuals. It has to do with being part of a group. So the second thing, I still think it's democratic. I have some qualms about some of the laws in Israel that are less than democratic than I would like, but I don't see any. I see a productive. I'm still talking. I was asked a question. It's very hard. I know. I understand. Look, the law of return is designed, right, for Jewish safety. Right? If there was no more anti-Semitism around the world, and Jews were not threatened in the ways that we are, periodically from time to time, which is on the rise, I think you'd think you could raise some questions about the law of return and its utility. That's not the case that we're living in these days in the 21st century, right? Jews are at risk, and I'm frankly happy that the law of return exists for that reason.
So the thing is that before Zionism, European Zionism came to the land, Jews were not at risk. They were not at risk. They were living there. The Jews, Muslim, Christians, they all tested it. They were living it. They were neighbors. They broke bread with each other. They each had their own religious practices, and so forth. But when Zionism came, and they oppressed and stole and so forth, of course you're going to have a threat. Anybody, I'm sure the Nazis had threats when Jews fought back, and they considered them a threat. They probably didn't want Jews there because it would be a security risk for them. Slave masters in the U.S., they had to take security measures to prevent slaves from revolting back. So before European Zionism came, that was an issue. That's really it. I have another question for you. A quick question.
Can I finish
You
my
acknowledge. Well, see, last question. Just here, it's a good question. So, Caleb, you acknowledge that Palestinians are indigenous land. Galen gave you a good, lesson on it, on Palestinians' indigenous land. So, what do you say to those Jews, particularly Zionists, who say Palestinians are not indigenous land? Because you say they are indigenous land, but there are others that say no, they're not.
I just tell them they're factually incorrect. It's just not true. There is a thing called Palestinians. They are a nation. They have a culture, right? And I said this to Fadi a couple weeks ago, right? Like, the Syrian Arabs are different. They have their own Syrian culture, right? And the Palestinians have their own Arab culture. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with a single land having more than one indigenous people. And I say to Zionists who say that they're not indigenous, I say that they are just historically ill-informed.
Then we discuss now that joining the group thingy, you base joining the group on a religious concept and culture sharing, right? Didn't you do that? So why also?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't do that. No, I did not.
It's the process
It's about joining. It's about citizenship. It's about joining a nation. It's about joining a nation.
So, but you're joining the nations according to conversion, a religious conversion in
It's a citizenship. It's a citizenship process.
Again, so why he studied 5 years under a rabbi?
The same reason why, when you have to become a citizen of another country, you have to study the laws.
You go to the church. You go to the church to study.
They're just the authorities of the nation.
Australia, or you go to the mosque and whatever.
I understand. No, you're making a mistake. Right? You have to go to some authority, right? In the secular world, you go to a judge.
You mean you are a theocracy based on religion?
No, not at all. Not even close. No.
So why are you going to a rabbi and going
because they are the authorities. Because they are the authorities to join the nation.
Which means theocracy.
No, it doesn't. It means that's our
culture.
Based
on religion, not a citizenship.
It means it's our culture, and we are entitled to live according to our culture, and you can't say shit about it. You can say whatever you want about it, but it doesn't matter. We don't care.
You're just contradicting yourself. That's what you're doing.
Look, we don't care if you think our culture is corrupted. We're going to keep doing it.
You said joining the group is going through a process. So if you're telling me joining the group, we're going through a process, which means we already share a language, a culture, a shared food, a shared all of those stuff, which why are you blaming us and say, oh, why you have to do anything with the Palestinian when you are
I'm not blaming anyone.
You are Syrian?
I don't say that.
Caleb?
I don't say things like that. Didn't you just hear what I said to Dean?
Caleb, who's indigenous to the United States?
Excuse me?
Who's indigenous to the United States?
The Native Americans. First Peoples.
So how are you going to say, what you're saying just doesn't make sense. How are you going to say, just because, say, for example, I converted to Judaism, I am now indigenous to Israel?
I wouldn't say that. No. Let's say it better. You become part of a group, and the group is indigenous to that land.
But that doesn't.
I want you to hear the precision with which I say that.
Which means all the Muslims in the world are indigenous to Palestine.
They're indigenous. And not a lot of the Jews that live there are indigenous. That's what what's her name was trying to say to Z. They're not blood from there. By blood, by DNA.
So let me ask you this. So let's ask it this way. A German Christian who's lived in that land let's say for 5 or 6 generations, are they indigenous?
5 or 6 generations in Israel?
Are they indigenous to that land?
100 years?
A German Christian, the German Christians who have their churches in the old city, right? Are they indigenous to that land? I would say no.
I don't think they are, no.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Because they're not part of a group that is indigenous. It has nothing to do with how long you've lived there. It has to do with what group you're a part of. And I think Palestinians are a group, a national identity that is indigenous, just like Jews are a national identity that is indigenous.
And again, that's why I'm trying to make sense of what you're trying to say. So that we know
I'm being equal across the board.
Doesn't make any sense. If we're gonna base it on Christianity, now we're gonna talk of the Church of Nativity and the birth of Jesus, and they have the same exact logic at the time of the
Christianity isn't a national identity. It's not a national group. Palestinian is and Jewish is.
So
this is the mistake, right?
In national identity.
Yes, we are a people.
Judaism is a tribe.
We are a tribe, a family, a nation. Say it however you want. Yeah. All of those things mean the same thing. We are not.
I think that's the lie you.
We're a nation. We're a people.
So where in the world that Christianity is a nationality?
Where we're hung up is that Jews, like ethnically Jews, versus those who convert. Sorry.
No. I get what he's trying to say now. I get you. Which place on the planet today Christianity was a citizenship?
No, zero.
Since its
zero.
existence.
There are none. There are none.
They don't have the culture of land and governance.
Correct. That's right.
It's based, but Muslim isn't.
Right.
Muslim isn't.
That's why I don't say Islam is indigenous. I say Palestinians are indigenous. Because that would be inaccurate.
Now you separate. No. Now you separate between nationality as a citizenship and religious identity as a citizenship.
No, I'm not doing that at all. I know it's confusing. No,
it's not confusing. Because
well, I'm not doing what you said. I'm not doing what you suggested.
Let me explain, Caleb. Let me explain. Christianity doesn't have an idea of governance. Judaism and Islam is. That's why we're similar when it comes to that. Okay?
Well,
so
sort
when you
of.
say by joining...
Except that being part of the Ummah is not a nationality.
No. Part of the Ummah is the national...